So what if one tiny little mistake, like in an email, could completely blow up your company's biggest decision? I know, it sounds super dramatic, right? But it's a real risk. Today, we're going to get into something that's absolutely crucial, but honestly, often gets overlooked. The rules for calling a company board meeting.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You're bored. They've just given the green light to a massive, game-changing merger. We're talking about an investment that could define the entire future of your company. Now imagine all of that. Poof, just gone, undone, legally challenged, maybe even overturned, all because of a simple little procedural slip-up. And hey, this isn't some crazy hypothetical scenario. This is a serious and, surprisingly common risk.
So where's the weak link in the chain? Well, it often comes down to something that seems almost ridiculously simple. The official notice that's sent out to call the meeting. You get that one thing wrong, and the entire foundation of every single decision made in that meeting, it can just crumble.
Okay, so how do you dodge this bullet? Well, we've got to go straight to the rulebook. For a whole lot of companies in the UK, that means we're diving into the Model Articles of Association, and we're going to zero in on the specific rules for directors' meetings, which you'll find in Model Article 9.
Now, Model Article 9. It's actually pretty flexible, which is nice, but it does lay down some absolute non-negotiable basics for a valid meeting notice. You can think of these as like the bare minimum you have to do to get it right.
And what's kind of striking is just how simple these essentials are. For a notice to be valid, it absolutely has to state 3 things crystal clear. 1, the date and time. 2, the location. And 3, if directors are going to be in different places, you have to say exactly how they're going to connect.
All right, so beyond those 3 core things, there are a few other really key rules. First, the notice has to go to every single director, no exceptions. And here's a fun fact that surprises a lot of people. It doesn't actually have to be in writing. I know, right? Unless, of course, your company's own articles say it does. And last but not least, the power to call a meeting isn't just for the chairperson. Any director can kick one off.
But you might have noticed something is missing from all those rules, a specific timeline, right? There's nothing in there that says 7 days or 14 days or any kind of fixed period. And this brings us to a really crucial and often misunderstood part of company law.
So, if the rulebook doesn't spell out a number, how in the world are you supposed to know how much notice is enough? Well, the law relies on a concept that's both really flexible and sometimes a little tricky to navigate.
And that concept is reasonable notice. See, it's not about a fixed number of days. It's all about providing enough runway for the directors to realistically make arrangements, travel if they have to, and actually get their heads in the game for the meeting. In short, it's all about what's practical.
So what counts as reasonable? Well, the courts look at a bunch of different factors. Is the matter super urgent? A full-blown crisis might justify just a few hours' notice. Where are the directors physically located? Someone on the other side of the world is obviously going to need more time than someone who lives down the street. And hey, what does the company usually do? Sticking to your normal practice can be a really big deal.
But let's be real, things don't always go perfectly to plan. So the rules actually have this brilliant built-in safety net for those times when giving proper notice to every single director just isn't in the cards.
This safety net is called the waiver of notice, and it's a super powerful tool that can stop a meeting's decisions from getting thrown out just because one director wasn't properly looped in. And the magic behind this whole waiver system, well, it comes down to a specific number, 7. This number represents a critical deadline that makes the entire process incredibly flexible.
And here's the real kicker. A director can waive their right to notice up to a full week after the meeting has already taken place. This is huge. It lets them retroactively say, yeah, I'm good with it, which in turn validates all the decisions that were made.
So, in simple terms, a waiver just means a director is giving up the right to complain about not getting enough notice. And this is so important because it protects the company's big decisions from getting overturned on a simple technicality.
But what happens if a director doesn't sign a waiver and the notice was genuinely messed up? What are the real-world consequences then?
Generally, the courts will take one of 2 paths. There's the old-school, really strict view that says any defective notice makes the whole meeting invalid. End of story. But there's also a more modern, practical approach that's often used, where the decisions can actually be upheld if the mistake didn't really cause any harm or change the final outcome.
So here's the bottom line. A botched notice isn't an automatic death sentence for a board decision, but, and this is a big but, it creates a significant risk. It basically hands any director who feels like they were left out a legal hand grenade to challenge the validity of everything that was decided.
Okay, let's wrap this all up. Model Article 9 gives us the bare bones rules.
Reasonable notice is all about the context, not some rigid timeline. The waiver process gives you a vital safety net when you need it. And finally, while a mistake in the notice isn't always fatal, it creates a vulnerability that you really want to avoid.
And that leaves us with one final and I think pretty crucial question to think about. When you look at your own organization, is your process for calling meetings a solid safeguard, or is it a hidden liability, just waiting to cause a massive problem? Getting this right isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about protecting the very foundation of your company's decisions.